Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Podcast of Honor here on pwponderings.com. It's been a while since we've had one of these, but a lot of news has passed, a lot of shows, and of course, we're here to discuss everything Ring of Honor related. I'm Chris Gisti, I'm the web admin. I am joined by Ari Berenstein. Ari, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I've had my first Thanksgiving, my second Thanksgiving, my third Thanksgiving, my fourth Thanksgiving. It's just been a lot of Thanksgiving and eating, and I am now stuffed. So this was a good weekend.
So it's time to put Ari into the oven and heat him up because he's stuffed.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes, or it's like a Arian or something like that. I don't know.
We're also joined by Chris Miccio. Chris, how are you doing, sir?
Doing great, Ken. You know, like Ari said, full of that turkey right now, man. It was a long weekend of turkey, but it was delicious.
Absolutely. And we're hoping everyone, you all had a great Thanksgiving, I guess, holiday if you celebrate it, and if you don't, I hope you still gave thanks and had a great weekend. But guys, we're here to talk about Ring of Honor, a topic near and dear to our heart, obviously. And just a lot of stuff has gone down. Most recently, though, and I kind of feel like we should be discussing this, not necessarily because it's Ring of Honor related, but because it concerns one of the big talents out there in independent wrestling. AJ Styles, a recent, I don't even know what to say, a string of injuries because of the Styles Clash. Most recently, Satoshi Kojima, as of this recording, we had injuries to Yoshitatsu. There were also, of course, you got named Roderick Strong in there. And I don't know, guys. The debate has heated up about whether the move should be stopped or not. Should AJ Styles just outright quit using the move? And obviously, I think this is weird because I think it's cool that fans obviously care a lot about the talents, that they're thinking of the talent's welfare, but also kind of conflating the issue of, well, this is wrestling. There's inherent danger to it, and it seems like some of them, because I don't want to say a majority of them, but it seems like some of them, if not a lot of them, they seem to be blaming AJ Styles for this. And, Chris Mickey, I'm going to go to you first because I think you have a lot of passionate feelings about this because it just seems that the blame is being placed on AJ, maybe either prematurely or unfairly.
Well, the thing that I kind of reflect back on every time anybody brings this up is the fact that he did the move for over a decade. You had no one get hurt by it. Now suddenly you have guys getting hurt by it. And you have to go back to where the blame technically lies. Wrestling is a two-man dance, but at the same time, if one guy's doing the right move and the other guy's not, you're going to put somebody in the position to get hurt. And if a guy doesn't feel comfortable doing the move, he should, maybe he should sit down with AJ before a match and say, I really don't want to take the bump. I'm not comfortable taking the bump. It really does rely on the guy taking the bump to put himself into a position of protection where he's not going to get hurt. And, when you've seen the footage of all the recent incidents with it, it's been the guy who's taking the bump, not tucking or not positioning his head in the right way and putting himself in harm's way when the move is applied. And if a guy doesn't know how to do it the right way, maybe AJ as a professional should say to the guy, listen, if you don't know how to do it right, let's not do it because I don't want you to get hurt. Maybe he's going to say that to guys going forward from this point on. But, it's both guys' responsibility in a match to carry their weight in each move to make sure that the other guy is protected as much as possible. And if one guy is not, especially not protecting himself, then you have to sit back and say to yourself, well, it's kind of your own fault for putting yourself in that position by not doing what you're supposed to do when you're in that spot.
Right, and I am being remiss by it. So essentially, after news broke about Yoshitatsu's neck being injured because of the botch move that he took with AJ Styles in New Japan, it was a wrestler out of the UK, Lionheart, that he was also injured, and a pretty severe injury, also because of a botched Styles Clash. And he essentially wrote on his Facebook that he was basically asking AJ Styles to stop doing the move. And that is what kind of caused the debate to begin. And obviously, we're not downplaying the injury to Lionheart. Obviously any injury is terrible. But at the same time, I do believe that this is one wrestler asking another wrestler to do something. That's all fair. That's fair game. But what I think my issue with it is that when the fans start blaming AJ, almost without really, in my perception, I mean, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, but it doesn't seem like many of them even watched the botches. They just heard of the injuries and automatically assumed it was AJ's fault. When if you watch some of the footage, and I'm excluding the recent Kojima issue because of based on photos, that does seem like it was AJ's fault because he's falling backwards.
Like he lost his balance and fell backwards.
Yeah, exactly. So that that could be due to any number of things. But so I'm trying to be fair here because that I would probably blame AJ with. Obviously, I haven't watched the match yet. I believe it's out there on Daily Motion, but I haven't seen it yet. And that's kind of where this all kind of begins and ends, hopefully in some discussion. Ari, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the move or the movement because the move has been around in some form or fashion for over 2 decades now. DDP used to do a flapjack kind of they call it the pancake or whatever, but it was, you pick the guy up, brought him down, and AJ Styles has said in several interviews over the years that that is where he got the influence from to try out to create the Styles Clash. He used to do it on trampolines. I definitely recall this from like it might have been a Wrestling Observer interview like 5 or 6 years ago at this point. And Cesaro uses a version of that kind of movement where you're going inversely if the person's head is upside down and you're kind of going the other direction that you don't usually do as far as a wrestling move. And I think it's, you look at all the instances where it worked and, the unfortunate few where it didn't, and you can't blame the move, but you should look at each circumstance as it is. And, I just think people should be, if they, like Chris said, if they're not comfortable taking it, then just say, let's do something else in the match. But as far as anything else goes, I mean, I don't think I'm in the position to adequately judge or take a position on it, other than to say the just on a physics level, the move in and of itself isn't the problem. It's how people are taking the move and that instinctual, like tucking your chin in thing that happens. So I do hope that these are just isolated incidents, and that Styles doesn't necessarily eliminate it completely, or if he does, just not wipe it out from his repertoire just because of these certain things. Because people can get hurt on all sorts of things. People get hurt on baseball slides and taking moves wrong. Taking a wrong bump the wrong way or taking a kick. Remember back in the day there was all that kind of stuff, like debate when CM Punk would usually go to sleep on Kane, and people were like, oh, he caught Kane right in the nose and all that kind of stuff. And, Punk himself has said that he, in that interview that just came out with Cole Cabana, that Kane was one of his favorite guys at work and there are no problems with him and all that kind of stuff. So, you never really know necessarily the perception of the eye versus the reality of the situation. So there you go. At GST, I just gave you a perfect, segue into the Punk interview if you so choose, but we shouldn't talk about that really. But there you go. It's there if you want it.
It is there. I mean, well, hey, speaking of subjects of people making themselves cognizant of other issues going on in professional wrestling, yes, there was a big CM Punk interview with Colt Cabana. There's a lot of discussion going on because of it. We talked about it before the show, guys. Is this really the form that we want to discuss it? Obviously, CM Punk, a big part of Ring of Honor. But I think we have collectively decided, maybe if we do record something, it'll be on a different show. Because, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on in the Ring of Honor.
Let's focus on what we're here for.
Exactly. But hey, I'm not saying that we won't discuss it. So hopefully if you're subscribed to us on iTunes or Stitcher, we will have a recording of that very soon. I know Jerome Cuson, our senior editor, and I, we've had a lot of fun doing the show live every Monday after Raw. And I'm sure this week we'll probably have some more fun with that. So hopefully you join the discussion. We always have a lot of fun with the guys in the chat room, and also keeping us in check with facts and stuff like that. So hope you join us after all. It should be a lot of fun. But guys, and obviously this was topical because AJ Styles, he is advertised for the January 24th show in Philadelphia, and they are returning to a historic Arena, the former ECW Arena, now known as the 2300 Arena. Guys, this for me is this is a big deal, just because I've never been to a show there. I don't know. Have either of you been to the ECW? Okay.
Yep.
I have
back
not.
in the day, back in ECW day.
Okay, so there you go. So see, that's one of those things I have to check up on the bucket list. Go to the ECW Arena, just like going to the Dome or, Gherkin Hall, that kind of stuff. But yeah, AJ Styles, he's right there. So this is obviously something that I think other Ring of Honor wrestlers probably are making themselves aware of, right? I think a lot of the established Ring of Honor talent, they are veterans enough to know how to take the move. But at the same time, there's a lot of young, up-and-coming talent there, too. So as you said, Miccio, I think if they want to, AJ Styles, he doesn't seem like he's a jerk. You could go to him and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. And he's got a lot of other moves, let's be honest.
He has a ton of variety in his moveset, so if a guy doesn't feel comfortable doing it, then have him work a match where he works the leg into the cat slicer.
I guess overall, though, also, Ari, I'll go, since you said you haven't been to the arena, is this kind of exciting for you that, okay, Ring of Honor, they're going back to a place that has a lot of historical significance, and also, whether you can go to this show or maybe one in the future, there's still a chance to check out Ring of Honor at the former ECW Arena.
I think it's interesting in that when the ECW arena, as it was closed down for renovations a couple years ago, essentially the word was there's going to be no more wrestling there, and now here we are 2 years later, and wrestling is coming back, and Chikara is running a show there, I believe, and Ring of Honor is going to come back there, and I'm sure other promotions have already or will follow, and it'll be it's the same location. Is it going to be the same atmosphere? Is it going to be the same kind of environment? Do the fans that come in, do they have something to do with providing that kind of environment? It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But honestly, even though Ring of Honor had its home base in Pennsylvania in Philadelphia for years, right around the corner from there, and then there were shows in the National Guard Army. And Chris and I actually went to one of those, the actual Death Before Dishonor 4, which was the Cage of Death show, I believe.
Cage of Death, yep.
Yeah, CZW versus Ring of Honor. That was, and that was great. It was a great atmosphere. So I'm sure as far as atmosphere and stuff like that, it'll be very good for them. But, other than the fact that, yes, for people who provide value in the fact that this place is a historic wrestling location, it's fine. It's okay. I just, it's a good thing that they're running there again. But I honestly don't see the difference between them running there or the Guard Armory or anywhere else in Philadelphia, as long as they continue to run in Philadelphia, because you want them to keep the legacy of their beginnings. You want to respect and, I guess, honor, no pun intended, the past by continue to run in that city. It's an important city, if not the venue. The city itself and the people there are important to Ring of Honor's history.
The thing about the venue, if you think about any shows you might have seen on DVD or VOD that emanated from the old ECW arena, like when Chikara
tapings.
Yeah, the venue itself is really well aligned for TV taping and for any type of taping of a show. I remember when you first got me into Chikara. I used to see the shows at all the oddball places, quote unquote, that they would run. And then you showed me one of the shows from the ECW arena, and it was really night and day for production value because of the fact that the building is really kind of geared towards that type of production. I think that's a great thing for ROH to be in buildings that really are better for production value, better for image. How the show comes across on a video on demand or on a DVD. I think that's great. Just because it's been renovated, does that maybe change the sight lines? Does that maybe change the audio? It's possible. I haven't been there since they have made the adjustments. But you would think that if they did make adjustments in order for it to become more of a music style venue, you'd figure that the acoustics would be better and that the sight lines would probably be better. So I think it's interesting that they're going back there. Like you said, the historical connection to where they first started running in Philly, being right around the corner from there is great. The Philly crowd is always an interesting group. When I went to one of my early ECW shows in the '90s, I was both electrified and terrified at the same time. Being from New York and the New York Philly kind of angst, if you will, via the Giants and the Eagles and both in all the New York City franchises in hockey and the Flyers. It's not exactly the most pleasant place. I got in a fight in the old Spectrum at an Islanders Flyers game back in '93. So that was Philly's not always
Wow.
been a city that I enjoy very much. But going to a show there was, like Chris kind of mentioned, it was one of those bucket list type things. And when we first started watching, ECW at like 3 o'clock in the morning on MSG Network here in New York, the first thought was, well, Philly's only 2.5 hours away. Let's try to figure out a way to get down there. And we did. Me and a couple of my buddies at the time found a way to work our way down to the show, and we had a great time. But it was definitely a very different environment than any of us, growing up as WWF fans had experienced at a live event. It was a night and day, shall we say, from shows at the Garden versus shows at the ECW Arena. But I think it's a cool idea, and I think if they can figure out a way to kind of use it like as a regular stop on the tour, I think it's a benefit because it does make things look a little bit better when you have it in a venue like that.
Well, I'm kind of tying it into the final battle because, Ari, you and I, we were able to conduct an interview with Adam Cole recently. I'm transcribing it today. It's going to show up in Total Wrestling Magazine out of the UK.
Yeah, cool.
But, we talked about Ring of Honor's debut at Terminal 5 and the history that Ring of Honor has, with the Hammerstein, and because of costs and other issues, they're no longer going to run there, and hopefully they're going to make some new memories and, for the New York fans. So for the Philly fans, there has to be some type of tie into this. Are they going to come out just because, it's another wrestling show there? The House of Hardcore had a really good time there, and I know, they were really happy with their attendance. So, and hopefully Ring of Honor has the same. So I think it's one of those things where we're kind of conditioned, right? And it's like when it comes to wrestling, it's like, even if maybe you're not too familiar with the promotion itself, sometimes it being at a venue that is easily accessible, you're more willing to check it out than you would, do I really want to drive 45 minutes to an hour away to go to a show?
Sure. I just think for comparison's sake, if you remember the HD Net days, when they were running Philly shows every month or every 6 weeks because they were recording 6 episodes every 2 days or whatever, and they almost burnt. I don't know if they almost. They may have actually burnt out that town, as far as there would be less people on the second day of the tapings, and there was a difference in dynamic. There were a lot more kids at the tapings, from what I remember. The impression being about hearing reports about all that. A lot more families, and it's now that they took time off. They ended they had the end of the HD Net contract, and as a result, they stopped running in the arena, and they let the ground lie fallow. They've come back once or twice to Philly, a handful of times since then, and they've done pretty well as a result. And so I just think they need to keep that kind of like every so often perception with Philadelphia, because you don't want to necessarily wear out your welcome with them with a tough crowd like that. So yeah,
make it part of your regular loop, but make your regular loop stops in cities like every 4 months.
Sure. And I think that's pretty much where they're heading. And obviously, if you look at the list of upcoming events of where they're heading out in the next 2 to 3 months, it's a lot of newer cities, a lot of different cities, and then heading back towards familiar ground. They're doing the West Coast swing into Las Vegas. They're doing for the anniversary show. They're obviously they've got Supercard of Honor for the WrestleMania weekend. So there's a lot of West Coast stuff, but then they're also coming back east for some shows as well in the Midwest. So it is that kind of like loop of finding newer spots, but also going back to familiar ground. And I think that works.
Speaking of, markets that may or may not have a lot of Ring of Honor exposure but are slowly growing into one, Ring of Honor Glory by Honor 13 took place while we were on hiatus, and the estimated attendance there in San Antonio, Texas, 700 to 800, said to be a really good show, a lot of great wrestling. I believe this is already out on VOD, so you should all go check that out at ROHWrestling.com. Probably there's going to be a review of it up on the website if there isn't already, either by Jerome or Ryan Rosansky. So should be a really good time. And I'm just going to run down some of the major results of that show here. There's none of us have seen it yet, so us giving our thoughts on it, maybe not so great. So let's just run through this. Tommaso Ciampa defeated the Romantic Touch. It was said to be kind of a more comedy match, and the reason why I bring this up is because he's got a feud already going on right now with Michael Elgin, and it's one of those kind of situations again where you're like, there's two parts to it. Ciampa and Elgin have seemingly similar characters right now. Ring of Honor, they're going up against, I don't want to say the Authority, but you know what I mean. They're interacting with Alan McGuinness. They're unhappy with how Ring of Honor is using
I
them.
wouldn't say the Authority. Please don't say that.
I'm not going to. And and then you have stuff like this. Now, if you see this, and then the events that transpired at Survival of the Fittest lead into the program with Elgin at Final Battle, but those VODs were just recently released, so I kind of doubt people have had enough time to really gather and put all that information together. So is this just one of those things, Ari? It's just kind of strange that you have him in a comedy match, and all of a sudden now he's in a super serious feud with Michael Elgin, or what we're supposed to perceive as a serious feud with Michael Elgin.
Sure, but you know what? To me, it seems just like this was an opening undercard match. There's really nothing too much to get and to worry about. I mean, it's Ciampa needed somebody to go over, and that's pretty much the Romantic Touch is a character, a wrestler that you can do that with pretty easily. Now, let's not forget Champions versus All Stars is also out, and he was pretty much put in the main event, replacing who did he replace? Mark, who had some sort of illness or something like that. So I mean, Ciampa's, and we'll preview, I guess, Elgin versus Ciampa when we talk about the event as a whole in a little bit. But I don't think that anything that they've done in the last few months has deterred from Ciampa. In fact, the problem I have is it's kind of hard to determine who we should be rooting for, or rooting against in a situation like that. But we can talk about that more later on.
I'm personally rooting for the Authority.
Don't say the Authority.
All right, so Kazarian defeated Roderick Strong. This also kind of played into what's going on with Roderick Strong in the decade. The ROH World Tag Titles were on the line. The Red Dragon defeated the Kingdom of Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, who are also in the New Japan World Tag League. We'll update you on the points and stuff going off there. That was said to be one of the better matches. Their big return to Texas is April 4th, 2015. Jay Lethal defeated R.D. Evans. He ended the streak, guys. This is the biggest news coming out of Glory by Honor.
That is the biggest news.
I was really sad for about a minute.
A whole minute. Wow.
I mourned. I watched my R.D. Evans matches, and it's just things won't be the same. Moose and Stokely Hathaway, man, they got under the spell of Prince Nana, and it's the whole R.D. Evans connection is no more. It's
Nana's revenge.
It's a very sad story. It is Nana's revenge, but a very sad story for R.D. Evans. I thought he really was, he had a change of heart about his life, and he was really, I think the fans really understood that, and Nana still just cannot forgive him for ruining the embassy, back in the day, and just it's a shame, man.
You might be able to forgive, but you should never forget.
Yeah.
Well, one match I'm looking forward to on the show is Adam Cole going up against Christopher Daniels. I can't imagine that being a bad match, so it should be a lot of fun. And then the Ring of Honor World Title match, the hometown guy ACH, he did not win the title against Jay Briscoe, but said to be another really good match. And after it, Jay got on the mic and he put ACH over. So nothing too exciting, but with good wrestling, which is generally what you got with Ring of Honor, I think probably worth checking out. Let's see. Like I said, they're right now this weekend doing a lot of stuff in the UK. It is the co-promoted ROH and PCW shows, Preston City Wrestling. And, just some of the results, you can check them out, pwponderings.com/results. We have them up there. I think this is one of those things, and Ari, correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about this with Adam Cole also. I think he said that, this is pretty exciting stuff, for them to go over to the UK. We haven't seen Ring of Honor in the modern era travel too much outside of the country, and so I'm hoping that these shows do really well. I'm trying to find out what some of the attendance numbers were so we can get an idea of that. But
I've seen some pictures, and it looks really Like they had a great audience, and that these shows. I mean, there were 4 shows over 3 days. So, if you wanted some ROH wrestlers going up against PCW guys with a few indie superstars thrown in the mix, I mean, you got what you wanted if you were there.
Oh yeah, no, I think you did. I'm just gonna run over some of these major results. The Ring of Honor World Tag Titles were in fact defended on the first show in a 4-way, and Red Dragon retained against Team Single, which is Rampage Brown and T-Bone, the Briscoes, and the Decade of Jimmy Jacobs and Roderick Strong. Which don't know how that works, but hey, it happens. It's in the UK. On the second show, which was an afternoon show, we saw Adam Cole defeat Noam Dar. Roderick Strong defeat Paul London. The Ring of Honor Tag Titles were also defended again. Red Dragon defeating the Briscoes to retain them. And then on the third show, we had Tommaso Ciampa defeat El Ligero. And a lot of other fun matches. Mike Elgin defeated BJ Whitmer. And then we don't have the results yet as of this recording for the fourth show, but we probably will by the time you're listening to this.
Yeah, it's really good to see Elgin and Ciampa through their Twitters kind of really speak highly of their experiences there and the talent. And as you were saying, yeah, it has been a while since, Ring of Honor has gone to the UK, gone to England and all the kind of stuff, and really kind of had that crossover. And it's funny because it used to be, somewhat regular thing back in the early days. They had the relationship with FWA, I think Frontier Wrestling Alliance and all that. And they did go to England on a couple of occasions. The 5th year anniversary festival, they had 2 shows, and they were really good shows. So if you can find them or on demand or for whatever means, I mean, obviously go grab them. Those were I think Samoa Joe's last appearances, and Nigel and Jimmy Rave had an amazing match there. I think that was the match that Jimmy Rave had his broken jaw. So there's
don't forget Unified. I mean, that was one of the best shows that the Danielson Nigel match from that tour.
Oh, of course.
It was one of the best ROH matches ever.
Yeah, so there's a lot of, speaking of recognizing and respecting the history from the Philadelphia section, there's that connection to England that used to be there and then just kind of wasn't there for a long, long time. And it's good to see them come back and do these kinds of crossover shows and have that presence there. And it seemed to come up really successfully. And, I talked to Adam Cole and, really said I was very impressed with Noam Dar rather. And it's great to see that he wrestled him, and I hope that experience went well. And, I would definitely look forward to checking out some of the matches and stuff that went on over the weekend. Oh, also Delirious had a great match apparently, right? Wasn't that against the Madman Manson, I believe, or am I getting that wrong?
No, you are correct. So a rare Delirious sighting, even though he's in Chikara too.
So there's some obviously oversight, with Delirious there. Obviously, there's oversight into how Ring of Honor fit in with PCW, and I think it speaks well of all that.
Guys, I just realized something kind of interesting. And, this was not set up. We didn't even really talk about this before the show. We have not discussed. I mean, the three of us. I think we have maybe on Twitter or texting each other, but Ring of Honor talent may not be able to work other promotions in 2015. And this was one of the larger pieces of news that kind of got out there, and it caused quite a bit of debate. And it has been, I want to say, probably maybe better understood since a lot of reports. Since ProWrestling.net, they were the first ones to report it. We put it out there, and then PW Insider and the Observer and the Torch, and they kind of put on some more finalizing details. So essentially, this is it: that there are 2 types of contracts within Ring of Honor. There are the contracted talent who are paid more to be a little bit more exclusive, to allow Ring of Honor to choose their bookings, and that also includes not choose certain bookings. And then there's the other talent where Ring of Honor events have to take priority, but they're able to work other promotions kind of freely at their own leisure. Chris Miccio, I'm going to go to you first because you haven't. I think you have probably one of the better responses to when this news first broke out. A lot of people got angry. They were probably tweeting Ring of Honor not so kind things, and this is not necessarily a quote unquote, I want to say, Ring of Honor issue. This is an SBG issue. So Miccio, what were your thoughts on this, and have things cooled down, or are we still kind of in this issue?
Listen, I can respect the fact that ROH wants to keep some of their talents more to themselves to draw the attention of wrestling fans to their product in a guaranteed way. So that if you really like, think about the guys who are that we believe to be under contract right now. Let's just take a Jay Briscoe off the top. If your fans like Jay Briscoe and they want to see him, maybe you say, okay, well, Jay, you're under contract to us. You're our guy for right now. You're exclusive to us right now. We want to be able to show you on TV and be the only place where people can get to see you. As long as they're taking care of him financially in the gaps where he would have made more money from those other appearances he might do, as long as they're doing the wrestlers right in that situation, as far as I'm concerned, it's fine. But to be a little bit more restrictive regarding guys who maybe aren't in that same position, who don't have that exclusive contract, it puts them in a strange boat where it's like, do I want to wrestle, or do I want to wrestle because I'm afraid I won't get booked again by ROH if I don't kind of go along with what they want? It's like, I can understand them saying to people maybe the night before a major event, listen, we don't want you to be on that show because we want you in town the day before to make sure that there aren't any issues regarding your availability to perform at the show as we've sold it for many months, going forward. Maybe ROH needs to work out some sort of, say to promotions that these guys are working for, we'll give you some level of recompensation if you've been booking your show with our talent on the poster. But there are a lot of different angles to play. Will it disappoint me if this really does come to pass? Yeah, because I think a lot of the guys in ROH put on their best work in other places because they're allowed to kind of not have to worry too much necessarily about the storylines or what the producers want to see from each guy. Maybe it finally, maybe the ROH office guys finally sat down and watched some PWG DVDs, saw their guys just killing it on those shows, and then we're like, hey, wait a minute, they don't kill it like that on our shows. Well, maybe that means you need to look at your own show a little bit harder, because if that's what the guy is capable of, he'll do it for you too. But, I can understand the agitation that a lot of fans have, because it will take a lot of popular guys out of circulation to a certain extent. But on the same token, I do understand Ring of Honor's position in the sense that they have to mind their own P's and Q's for their own business, and they don't want to see other guys become associated or more closely associated with a different promotion than their own.
And a lot of this also kind of put more fuel to the fire, so to speak, when Dreamwave Wrestling also put out similar context that some of their Ring of Honor talent couldn't, or some of the Ring of Honor talent couldn't show up on their shows. I believe there was Core Wrestling also, and it was kind of the names you would expect, like I believe it was Michael Elgin, Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Jay Briscoe, that kind of stuff.
The guys who are on the forefront.
Yeah, exactly. Guys who you would assume have those exclusive contracts. So there are guys like ACH who are still working St. Louis Anarchy and other places like that. But Ari, what were your thoughts on this overall issue when it first came out? Because I think you tweeted a lot of your thoughts on this, but as more information came in, I think a little bit of a better understanding of the situation came about.
Yeah, I might have been a little bit sarcastic to start with, I think. Now I'm not sure. It's more of a wait and see approach to see exactly who is allowed, who is not allowed, and I think it's going to be more and more a situation by situation scenario. I just don't, there was a long time where in the beginning of the SBG era there was that idea of like we're gonna assign people to contracts, and they're gonna work for us, and then there was a lot more of like if you don't want to sign a contract, you're not going to be on our shows, and then there was a lot more of an understanding of like the talent out there needs to make money by working independent days, and a team like the Young Bucks or a new free agents like Christopher Daniels and Kazarian, they may not sign long-term contracts with Ring of Honor, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they shouldn't be used. So you had guys like the Young Bucks starting to be more incorporated, and you had the relationship with New Japan where Forever Hooligans would come in, and Kushida and now Alex Shelley will be coming in and doing days with Ring of Honor. And I just don't think that's I don't think that's gonna up and stop. I think they are going to make a concerted effort to protect the interests of those who they have locked up in terms of contracts. And and be really careful about, who gets featured when and where. And that's their right. I mean, this is, as a company, you have to start to protect your brand and your image, and the wrestlers who are most associated with and who you decide, well, we're going to pay you this amount of money because we believe that you're our guys who we're going to push to the forefront. And if you look and see who have been the guys who have been, refused bookings and other promotions, or who are going to be stopping being booked, it is the guys who are either under contract or are negotiating for contracts, and may be locked up and be featured by Ring of Honor. So, as a promotion, my feeling is, yes, they have that right, but I think they should go hand in hand with an understanding of, the way the economics work. And I think it's very, we're in a very interesting time because, with the TNA renegotiation, they're going to Destination America, so they're not going away, but their money to spend on talent may be reduced. They may come up with a completely different roster, or keep certain guys and let go of others, releasing them into the free agent market. You have Global Force Wrestling doing whatever it is they're doing. Eventually they may go from moving on to hosting or providing the North American connection to New Japan, to trying to run their own full-fledged promotion. You have Lucha Underground, and you have talents who are signed there. You got Evolve running in China, and maybe starting to make an inroads in there. They're going to want to protect their guys. So we're entering 2015. We're in a real shake-up mode where the way things look now, by the end of next year, maybe they may be completely different. So in that case, it makes sense for Ring of Honor to protect certain wrestlers and make sure they have them as their main interest, their top priority. But I think something I was telling Chris yesterday, something I'm most interested in is, it used to be Ring of Honor was where all these talents from different promotions would come in, especially in North America, but also they had huge connections in Japan, connections to England promotions. Now it seems more than not, it's not PWG actually, even though PWG has set up those Super Dream matches. It's actually New Japan Professional Wrestling that has done the most over the last year to become this sort of all-encompassing, like, we're bringing in talent from all parts of the world. From their Fantastamania shows, where they bring in luchadors, to their relationships in England and their relationships here with both Ring of Honor and the NWA and GFW, that's promotion where it will be. They seem to be making, and then now they're having their own television shows. They seem to be making the most inroads in collecting these talents from all over the world, or from all these different promotions. They seem to be doing what Ring of Honor used to be doing, which is maybe something they can't do now that they're under corporate ownership. So but they still do it. I mean, 2 years ago they had the Jakar stuff. This year they've done the New Japan shows. They're going to keep doing the New Japan co-promoted shows. So this is something to keep an eye on more than it is something to have a hugely defined take on the issue right now, because you just don't know which talents and who's going to be going where in 2015. And until that happens, you just kind of have to wait and see on that one. At least that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, well said, though. I agree with both of you guys. And this became kind of a small little tidbit of news to suddenly just kind of everyone having an opinion on, which is fine because it is important. Us as independent wrestling fans, we get very passionate about this topic. So, like you said, we'll just have to wait and see. I'm really excited, guys. You have Lucha Underground, New Japan as new shows, Ring of Honor. When we're going to talk about Final Battle right here in a second, but in terms of where they are as a product and they're being on terrestrial pay-per-view, if you're looking for that alternative to WWE or Impact Wrestling, if you are able to see it, it's out there. So, I'm pretty excited.
I mean, with the New Japan show on January 4th that's coming to America, yes, Jim Ross is going to do commentary, but it's and there's going to be American guys, there's Gaijin wrestlers, but it's a Japan promotion. It's a Japan product. If people are looking for a North American-based product with a little bit of influences from all those other places, Ring of Honor is on pay-per-view again, which is good. You can go spend your money on that and see what happens. But that's up to people.
Yeah, the other thing that you were saying, Ari, is like with all these other promotions kind of coming in, it's like, if New Japan is going to want to do that, and they're going to want to, and it seems as if they're getting access to to a North American broadcasting deal on AXS Network. I don't know that a lot of these other indie guys are going to be able to work them because they might feel as if they do those shows for New Japan, Might they put their abilities to work for some of the other promotions, at risk because they'd be appearing on TV for another promotion, and you don't necessarily want your guys to be doing that. I mean, we were joking about it
Right.
before. It's like, the idea of Ring of Honor coming out with an action figure line. Do you want one of the guys who is in your action figure line garnering more attention as a performer on another promotion's program than on your own?
Right, and I think that's an important topic to talk about. But I think we're also kind of getting a little bit ahead of that, just because, look, it's great that New Japan is going to be on US TV, but these are matches, and the wrestling is great. And you have Mauro Ranallo and Josh Burnett who are going to be commentating on it. I like both of those guys when it comes to this kind of stuff, but when it comes to a connection with the US fan base, I'm waiting to see how the New Japan guys do that. Just because a lot of them don't speak English, so you can't really get connected without the promos. And yeah, of course, the commentators are there to bridge that gap, but there's only so much you can do with that. Whereas you have Ring of Honor, and they're a little bit more established, and that is because either they're syndicated or they were bought into another market because of SPG. So I just think it's really exciting for everyone. And like you said, hey, action figures, guys, and rings, and it seems Ring of Honor is taking small but good steps towards the future. So,
Mickey, maybe you should wear a Ring of Honor ring instead of your wedding ring.
No.
Well, that is a shame. But yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the bigger topics going on, and it's something to think about heading into 2015. Just before we get to the Final Battle preview here, just want to update the World Tag League. Just for anyone assuming, on the last event, Rob Conway and Jack Stain defeated Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, the Kingdom, which is rather unfortunate. Oddly enough, though, their only win for Conway and Dane. They have 2 losses, so they only have 4 points. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, though, however, had 2 wins, won by 3 losses with 6 points. So that is your update as of right now. So, guys, let's get into this. Final Battle, the biggest show in Ring of Honor when it comes to the calendar year, and a lot of things are coming to fruition now. Obviously, it's going to be on terrestrial pay-per-view, Terminal 5 in New York City, December 7th. I am envious as hell that both of you are going to be there live. I think you guys should have bought me a ticket. I mean, it would have just been right. That's just me.
But were you flying east for that show?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Probably not going to happen.
One
But
can
I
never
can't.
be too uncertain about any possible snowstorms coming to the New York area. So let's hope that it doesn't happen.
Hey, I have rain to deal with, guys. Rain.
Oh, poor baby.
I know. I feel bad for myself too. So, but of course, you can catch this live if you can't be there. And I'm hoping Terminal 5 sells out. I hope it's a really great show for everyone there. And I'm going to catch this live on pay-per-view. It's going to be pretty awesome. We have the main event, a fight without honor for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Jay Briscoe versus Adam Cole, who was the Survival of the Fittest 2014 winner. We have Red Dragon defending their tag titles against the Time Splitters, Alex Shelley and Kushida. The TV title's on the line as Matt Sydal challenges champion Jay Lethal. And the Young Bucks and ACH versus The Addiction and Cedric Alexander. Michael Elgin versus Tommaso Ciampa. Artie Evans with Veda Scott versus Moose with Stokely Hathaway. And then a mentor versus student match. Roderick Strong, no longer with the Decade, going up against Adam Page. We'll have BJ Whitmer and Jimmy Jacobs at his side. And then Mark Briscoe and Hanson are also signed to appear. So guys, let's just kind of go through this, because I think every match, and this is kind of the fun thing when it comes to Final Battle. We can say there are A shows and B shows for Ring of Honor, but when it comes to Final Battle, everything comes together. I think that maybe this year's, a couple months back, I think we were all talking about this. The buzz wasn't starting as early as we thought it would, but now that we're closer to the show, Mick, I'm going to go to you first. Has the buzz gotten a little bit better for you? Are you talking about this a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just for the show; it's for the fact that they are shifting to a new venue for this event, a venue that I've never been to, not even for concerts. I know Ari has. My cousin is going to be going to the show with us, along with Ari and my fiance Kelly, and he's been there on numerous occasions. When I told him about where we were getting the tickets in that first level, the first balcony VIP section, I didn't even have to get the full sentence out of his mouth, and he's not even really a huge wrestling fan. I was like, "Hey, do you want to go to the show? We got tickets in the first balcony VIP." He's like, "Yes, I'll go. And it was like, okay, cool. So it was, I'm really excited to see what the venue looks like inside, how it shapes up for a wrestling type show. I'm really excited to see how the VIP table that we actually have as a group, how that fleshes out and how we get to see the whole show. Now that I look at the card and I started to look at the card over the last few days, I am really excited for it. I mean, are there guys who are not going to be on the show that I would have liked to have seen? Yeah, I would have loved AJ Styles to be at the show, but otherwise, I look at the card top to bottom, and it's pretty exciting, and I think it's a pretty well stacked show. The match that I'm probably looking most forward to, I know everybody's going to say, "Oh, it's Chris. You must be looking forward to the Adam Cole match." It's actually not. That's not the first one on my list for right now. The match that I'm really looking most forward to is the Red Dragon Time Splitters tag team title match. I think that has the potential to really steal the show that night.
I could see that. I could see that. Ari, has your opinion of the? I mean, when it came to buzz, we've all been fans of Ring of for a long time. I think we can compare sometimes the buzz that's going on to Final Battle. And this year, we were kind of wondering, when is it going to start? When is that buzz really going to start collecting? We're a little under a week out from it. Has that happened?
I think to a certain extent, yes. I think that Ring of Honor went to a smart decision, which was they made their wrestlers accessible to a lot of different independent wrestling news sites, and the Wrestling Observers had a number of guys featured. I know, like what you said before, you interviewed Adam Cole for Total Wrestling magazine, and so it's like in doing that, that increases the sort of the ground game for the internet, if there is such a thing. So I think people are aware on the internet, and I think people are aware on television. They've done this push. I think the best thing they've done is actually this 10-minute preview video that they released that is really cool. It's like reminds me of what Lagana and his people would do to set up certain pay-per-views or iPay-per-views during the HD Net era, but like expanded and extended. And there's some really good stuff. I hope it actually makes a version of it makes some of the Barker channels in the next week or so that everybody who's sort of like still goes through those things can check that out. But if you haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend it.
Have you guys seen any local like promos on your TV? Any adverts? I know you don't get an SPG channel, but
No, I haven't.
No, I mean what they usually do on pay-per-views is like if there's time left over, they'll run 30-second advertisements of the next shows coming up. So during UFC shows, like at the end, they might do that. But like, and again, we go over Mickio's house. I go over Mickio's house for shows. He's got the network, so we don't really watch those anymore. So I can't say to a certain extent what's going on with that. So the buzz is okay. I certainly think that all the stuff with like Michael Elgin's situation, I think that definitely changed the course of what Final Battle was going to be. And in some respects, the storyline with Jay and Adam makes a lot of sense to do a climatic match like this in the main event. But I think the direction was, what we saw months ago back at Best of Worlds, like, okay, obviously they're going to wait and do the next Elgin Cole chapter at Final Battle, and that just hasn't come to pass. And Elgin's career has gone in a different direction, and it's certainly interesting to see that the guy who we expected was Adam Cole. Like I think we all expect AJ Styles, Cole, and Elgin to be a part of this in the main event scene in some way or another. And two of those three guys are not there. I also, a couple months ago, I was slightly disappointed that ACH did not win the TV title and is not in the TV title match here. I think Matt Sydal is awesome, but I don't think, I think, I really do think ACH, and I wrote an article about this several months ago, should be put in a prominent position. It's good that he's back, that he came back after whatever happened with that situation in Toronto with the flight that he missed. And, it didn't derail his push too badly, but at the same time, I really think that this should be Lethal versus ACH in a climatic match and not Lethal versus Sydal, even though that's a first-time matchup and it's very interesting. Probably appeals more towards a more broader fan base, but I think there was an opportunity here to make ACH into something important that might have been lost. And instead, ACH, I mean, don't get me wrong, ACH is in a decent position because he's being put in this, speaking of show stealing matches, the 6-man tag match, it seems to be like positioned to be that Rock'em Sock'em Ring of Honor style matchup that can really blow people away and leave people talking about, how awesome this match was at the end of the day and really impress everybody. Just look at the talent involved in that. The Young Bucks, ACH, Daniels, Kazarian, Cedric Alexander, all really good talents, very good talents, and they have a penchant of putting together really impressive matches and moments in the matches. So that's the match I'm actually looking forward to the most as we head towards Final Battle. In a similar way, I really enjoyed looking forward to last year was the Young Bucks versus ACH and Tadarius Thomas. I really thought they stole the undercard on that show until we got to the main event scene at Final Battle 2013.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys make very good cases for the matches you're looking forward to most. So why don't we get started and run down and give our predictions? Starting out, Roderick Strong versus Adam Page. This is Roderick Strong versus his former group, the Decade. Adam Page, the young boy, so to speak. And, it's not really a quote-unquote revenge story because it's more along the lines of Roderick Strong was part of the building blocks, even though really it was BJ Whitmer and Jimmy Jacobs. And Adam Page kind of being, they had TD Thomas and that didn't really work out too well. But this is Adam Page kind of being put on the spot, see what he can do with Ring of Honor. And against the guy, come on, Roderick Strong, I think he can have a good match with almost anyone. I'm going to go with Page winning. I'm just going to go with Page winning. The logic behind that being just, if Roderick Strong defeats Page, then really does he have to go up against Whitmer and Jacobs? I mean, he could. It could be a lot of fun matches, but who knows? Miccio, who do you have winning this match?
I think Page will go over here, but it won't be clean. Whitmer and Jacobs are going to be at the show, and they'll interfere, and it'll turn into a thing where Roddy gets rolled up from behind or something like that. Referee gets distracted. He gets hit with they hits him from behind with something. So that Adam Page kind of finalizes his turn to the dark side, if you will, and then becomes like Jacobs and Whitmer, and it just finishes the deal. Me personally, I could care less. I just want to see a good match, and like you said, Chris, Roderick Strong can pretty much have a good match with anybody. So that would obviously be that would be his thing to kind of get the if this is the first match on the show and it is the opener, it'll get the crowd going in a good positive way because Roderick Strong he's a consummate professional.
Ari, who do you see winning this?
I also see Adam Page winning, but I actually think he's going to win pretty cleanly. And I think it'll show everybody that sort of the distance he's traveled. I think the interesting thing is that the Decade was formed last year at Final Battle, and the year ago Page had lost a match to Matt Hardy. So there's that interesting full circle thing that goes on, and it'll work out. I do think the real shame of the Decade over the last year is that it seemed like they were heading in an interesting direction those first 6 months, and I really didn't quite like what happened in the back end of the last few months where they kind of fought against each other, and it seems like I don't know, I thought they lost their agenda, they lost their way a little bit, and I thought a lot more could have been done with it. And if this has all been just a vehicle to push Adam Page to, at least maybe we'll see some sort of interesting. We've seen a small character evolution in him over the last couple months, and maybe that leads down to something in the future. But I do feel slightly disappointed in that. There was that tease of Carino and BJ Whitmer, never happened. And there's all this stuff with like Hero had come in the beginning of 2014, and Styles had gotten involved with them in 2014. I really do think there was the whole idea behind the Decade could have been pushed a lot more, and instead it just became another mid-card stable, and that's a shame for me. The match itself, Strong and Page, I think is going to be good though.
Speaking about some mid-card feuds, we have R.D. Evans with Veda Scott going up against Moose with Stokely Hathaway. Guys, is there any chance for Evans to not die in this match? I mean, really, Ari, is Evans winning here?
No. I fully believe Moose is going to win. I think Ring of Honor really likes Moose, and they also want to push him. I think at this point, R.D. Evans, they protected the streak idea and the gimmick, and some of it was a comedy, some of it became more than that. But at this point, it's he's lost, so there's no shame in him losing again. There's nothing to be taken away from building him by having him lose again. I really think Prince Nana's revenge has to be complete in terms of like a one-on-one match now, not just taking away the streak from him, but like beating him in a match. The guy that he chose doing that. And I see Moose spearing Artie Evans into smithereens, unfortunately.
Miccio, what do you think?
I 110% agree with what Ari just said. I really do. It's just it's obvious that they have that ROH management has a thing for Moose. I think he has potential. I still think he's very, very green. But you put him in with a guy like Evans, who we've all seen in other promotions, and we know the fact that he works his ass off to make people look good. It's going to be an utter destruction of Artie Evans, and he'll wind up in the middle of the ring at the end, beaten down and crying, and maybe Veda Scott, maybe she comforts him, and maybe she doesn't. So you never know, because a full kind of removal or a full breakdown of Artie Evans with everybody who's around him walk away, which I think would be okay. But at the same time, this match is a vehicle for Moose, and I understand that, and I'm cool with that.
Agreed. I just see Moose winning here. It should be a lot of fun, and then, hey, Prince Nana gets his revenge. So, it all works out. Michael Elgin versus Tommaso Ciampa. Guys, we've hit that match where I think all three of us have had our little criticisms of how this has been built up. Mickey, I'm going to go to you first. Who's winning, and why, and who am I cheering for?
Okay. Now, which order do you want me to take these questions in? Who you're cheering for all depends on how you feel about either of the guys going forward. If you like what they've been doing with Ciampa over the last few months, you're going to cheer for him. If you hold a grudge against Elgin for all the things that have gone in the recent past, you're going to root for Ciampa also. If you're a longtime Elgin supporter, then we know a couple of them, who are real long-term backers of his. You're going to continue to support him. I think it's hard to say. Me personally, I just want to see a great, hard-hitting, physical match, and I know that's what I'm going to get. Would I be upset with either guy winning? Not at all. I think the things that they've done with Elgin since he has come back are not the direction that I would have gone. But that's, I don't run the business. That's, it is what it is. But I think at the end of the day, I don't know. I think they're heading with Ciampa because that seems like he's been the guy that they've been wanting to build for the better part of this year, slowly. But I'm gonna say that Ciampa goes over in this match. But I also think it's going to be, as Jim Ross would have said, a real slobber knocker.
Ari, who do you see winning this, and who are you cheering for?
Well, I just to reflect and reciprocate, I 110% agree with Miccio about a lot of what he said about how people will cheer for him, for either man, depending on the lens through which they view the man. I feel both these men really do deserve opportunities to succeed in Ring of Honor, and I feel in the beginning of the year that Ring of Honor really did blow the opportunity to build Ciampa in the television title division. I think there was a lot more that could have been done with that. I like his characterization a lot as far as the Sicilian psychopath character and how that's been brought in. But both him and Elgin have that sort of like going against the I won't say the authority, gentlemen, but I will say the people who
the powers that be.
The powers that no, I don't like that phrase either. But they have a grudge and a gripe against the people in charge, and it is to both of them they are perceived to be in the right. So as far as that goes, I wouldn't be surprised to see them form some sort of team at the end. Now, what Ciampa says in his promo in the preview that's not going to happen, that he thinks his characterization is completely different from Elgin, but who's to say? My guess is they're two great minds think alike, and their agendas are both to get revenge on Ring of Honor for many different reasons. Why not put them together as a team? But that's just what I would do. That may not actually be what will happen. Yeah, these guys have wrestled against each other several times in Ring of Honor over the last few years, and each time it's been pretty damn good, pretty damn hard hitting, and I think that's going to be likewise here. I also think that a lot of people are just not giving Elgin a chance in this new gimmick or this new angle as far as what his characterization goes. I think a lot of people are closing off their minds to it, and I think that's a shame. I think that what he has to say is a lot closer to his real feelings about the situation than him in the months leading up to being a champion. And that way, I think there's a lot of honesty and a lot of truth to it, and the people are just not getting it. So that's the shame of that situation. But the match itself, regardless of the circumstances around it, I think will be good because you've got two guys who are experienced at this point, really good workers at this point, and their styles complement each other. So yeah, this will be worth it. The crowd reaction is going to be interesting though, because New York has never really fully embraced Elgin. They do like Ciampa a lot, but will they be into the circumstances around the match or apathetic to it? We'll see.
I'm actually going to go against both of you on this. I think Elgin is going to get the win. I'll tell you why. I think it's going to be something wonky with the referee, and that way you have Ciampa who still, he can still claim, hey, this is not right. I'm angry at you guys. And then Elgin, as he said in his promos leading into this, he's basically out to destroy Ring of Honor for whatever reason. I'm not claiming it makes any storyline sense. It really, like both of you said, it really depends on when you fall on that weird shoot work thing that it was. But for me, I think it would just be more interesting to give Elgin a little bit more credence. Not that he really needs it because he's a former Ring of Honor champion, but we talked about how we thought that title run went. So here, I think we can start fresh. And since you have these fresh eyes on the pay-per-view, go a little bit of a different route. And see what happens, see what you can do. And then plus, say you have a really strong, good match like both of you were predicting, I don't think Ciampa would lose anything in a loss. So the next match is that exciting match, the Young Bucks and ACH versus the Addiction and Cedric Alexander. I agree, with you, Ari. This is the match. This could steal the show. You may not expect it. I'm assuming it's the match either coming back. Actually, I don't think they will do an intermission. But if they do, this would be that kind of weird split off point. Not weird, but you know what I mean. So, the Addiction, I don't really know what they're doing with them in Ring of Honor. It's like they're like on the fringe Ring of Honor tag title contenders. They get wins here and there, but last, Glory by Honor, they had singles matches that didn't really do a whole lot for them. But ACH and Cedric Alexander, I think both of you have mentioned you think that the way Ring of Honor should be promoted, maybe a little bit less than what they could do, but this is pay-per-view. And of course, the Young Bucks, always exciting, right? So I'm going to say Alexander and the Addiction get the win, though I'm not really sure why. Miccio, who do you have winning?
I do think that Addiction and Alexander will get the win. I'm going to be rooting for the Bucks and ACH because I'm a huge fan of the Young Bucks, but I think going forward that they're going to want to move Cedric Alexander up the card, and I think the best way to do it is have him look like $1 million in this match, and to have him get the rub from Daniels and Kazarian, by maybe having Alexander get make the fall instead of them. We'll do that just fine, and it seems like it just seems like that's going to be the fit for me. Like I said, though, I want the Bucks and ACH to win, but I don't think they will.
Ari, who do you got winning this?
Honestly, I don't know, and honestly, I'm not sure it matters because I think the way, like I said before, this is being set up as, this whole blow out the audience out of the water and impress. So I think if that match goes that way, then both sides will benefit from it.
Then should this be the opener, do you think? I mean, because it could be the most exciting, so...
I'm not sure. No, I don't actually know, because I don't know if any team or any match will be able to follow it for quite a while if they do that. No. I think middle of the card is much better, as you were pointing out before. But, the Addiction, as you said, they're on the fringe of contention. I think that them and the Bucks, they're like these super teams that, like, they're there to help build a great show. And, Red Dragon have wrestled both of them in the past, so I'm not sure if we'll see that in the near future. But for now, I think when you have them going against each other, this is a scenario. It's just more about uh, positioning the wrestlers as like who can outshine the other side. And like I said, I think if I have to choose, I'll go the other way. I'll say the Bucks at ACH win, although I'm not confident at all. But I know what matters here. I think it's the final impression that at the end of the show, people go, "Wow, that main event was great," but also that 6-man tag that was killer, and I think there's a real opportunity to do that.
The TV title is on the line, and Matt Sydal going up against Jay Lethal, the champion right now. It being on pay-per-view, I'm actually predicting a title change for both singles titles. So I'm going to say Matt Sydal wins here. And he's exciting. I'm not saying he's more known just because he was in WWE than Jay Lethal, but you have that crowd, you have this second stint on pay-per-view. I think it would be a fun match for everyone involved. Obviously, with the two guys involved, it'll be great. So I'm seeing Matt Sydal wins the TV title here. Ari, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's not certainly what I would do. I said that before, but I think because Sydal is friends with Delirious, and I think that Sydal comes from the WWE, and a lot of casual fans who may know him and then get interested by him. I think there's a lot going for that outcome. So yeah, I'm not saying that's going to be bad. I think the match going to be really good. I think both guys are going to work hard. I think that Sydal is very. I don't want to say it's out of nowhere, but I'm not sure I get it. I'm not on board 100% yet. But if he performs well here and he wins the title, okay, I guess we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I'm leaning towards a title change here as well.
Miccio, do you agree?
Title change. Yep, absolutely. It's I think, let's be honest. I think we all, to a certain extent, feel like Jay Lethal's act is a little tired at this point. So putting the belt on.
I don't know about that. I like Jay Lethal's act.
See, at this
point, I didn't, and now I do. I didn't, and now I do, which is weird.
Okay, well, to me, the act is tired, and it doesn't really do anything for me. And putting the belt on somebody else who might be able to bring something different to the table for that, for at least for a little while. Would be fun. Then to have, let's say, if you want to reposition ACH then to go after the TV title against Sydal, then you're going to get a very different type of match, which I think is going to be something that could really, really be a sight to see if those two guys really went at it for a belt on the line. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Sydal is going to win it. I think it's going to be a really exciting match. And if the second half of the show is the 6-man, the tag team title, and then the main event, if they do an intermission, that's going to be a juggernaut of excitement in those 4 matches going forward.
That's great phrasing.
That should be kind of fun. I'm actually. Go ahead, Ari.
No, I just think Miccio needs to watch Lethal sell some knee braces, and then he'll turn around on them.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't need a knee brace, so I don't need to watch the ad for it.
All right, so then we also have the tag titles online. Red Dragon, the champions, going up against the Time Spillers, Alex Shelley and Kushida. This is going to be a fun match. We've seen it a few times before, but it should wow the crowd. I'm not predicting a title change here. I mean, I just don't think it would make any sense. Red Dragon retains here. Miccio, what do you think?
I fully agree with what you just said. Red Dragon goes over, keeps the belts. I said this when we talked before we went on the air this afternoon that I think this is going to be the match that steals the show. Alex Shelley he's Alex Shelley, and we all know how good he is. And Kushida, the last time he was here in New York at the Hammerstein in May, I'd never seen him. He
made his mark.
He
made his mark.
Big time. I had never seen him in person before, and when he was done, it was kind of like, holy crap, that guy was good. So, and I mean, I'd seen him on videos on Daily Motion and stuff like that. But seeing a guy live is totally different than seeing a guy, up close and in person. And he blew me away. I thought he was great. And I think putting him, having him and Shelley especially with the New York crowd. Shelley has always shown out with the New York crowd. And, Ari and I can have Ari's verbally sparred with Alex Shelley once or twice before at shows back in the day. And his in-ring performance always shines when he's in New York City. So I'm really excited to see him back. And I think it's going to be a great match. But I think, the Red Dragon is just so hot right now. that you have to keep the belts on them because, well, they don't do anything wrong. Everything they do is good. So just keep momentum going with that. I hope later this year that they'll drop the belts to somebody so O'Reilly can just chance to really show an ROH crowd what he can do on his own. But I think this is going to be the match of the night. I really do, and I definitely think the Red Dragon's going to keep their belts.
Ari, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking, Red Dragon also retains, to agree with you guys, but just the fact that the IWGP and the Ring of Honor type, kind of interchanged a couple times with the Bucks and Red Dragon the last year, so to do it again here, I don't think would work. But I'm just really, really happy to see that Alex Shelley is getting another chance and another appearance in Ring of Honor. I always feel very lucky and privileged to see him because I feel like he makes a lot of his returns in the New York area. Like when he was with the Motor City Machine Guns with Chris Sabin, and they wrestled Kevin Steen and El Generico, and just or the Kings of Wrestling a couple of years ago. It was just it's just so good. The guy is great. The guy was great in his 04-05 run in Ring of Honor, and he's been great every time he's come back. His tag team with Kushida is great. So this sets up as a fantastic match. It's something else that's going to impress the pay-per-view audience at home, and I do think they're going to get a lot of a positive reaction with the live crowd. So it's this is a winner of a match, but I think Red Dragon will keep their Ring of Honor titles here. I'm not sure if they're long for the IWGP Junior Tag titles once they go over in that four-way match for Wrestle Kingdom, but we'll see.
Fun little tidbit, if Jay Lethal does lose to Matt Sydal, it will be the first time he's lost in a singles match at Final Battle in Ring of Honor history. Oh, for him, anyway. I thought that he lost in a tag match, but he's won in a four-way. He's won his last couple matches there, so little bit of a streak, mini streak.
Didn't he wrestle Samoa Joe at Final Battle like 05 and lose or something like that? Or am I wrong on that?
I can look that up while you guys discuss the main event.
Okay.
So, Jay Briscoe, Survival Fitness winner Adam Cole, fight without honor for the Ring of Honor World title. Ari, do we see a title change?
Yes, absolutely. We see a title change. I think that Adam Cole has been waiting for this moment to unseat Jay Briscoe. I think it's going to be similar to the Supercard of Honor match in that there's going to be a lot of brutality. I don't know if there's going to be as many chair shots to the head. So I do think there's going to be a little bit of controversial discussion afterwards from people who are not fans of those hard bumps or whatever. There's definitely a risk of all that happening, but that's what happens in a fight without honor stipulation. I mean, the rules are out the window. That's what the stipulation is set up for, a climatic battle where anything goes. I do think, they set up the whole thing where the Kingdom is not going to be there because they're in Japan at this point. But it's more of a, Adam Cole can do this on his own anyway type of situation. And it's a good kind of finale for the Grudge, for the heel to triumph, to take away the 2-year undefeated streak of Jay Briscoe, take away the title, prove himself right in the end, and set up 2015 with another chase to take the title away from him. I just think it all works in his favor, presuming that I just don't see where else they go with Jay Briscoe as champion at this point. I think it was very impromptu, and I think it made sense because of the 2-year undefeated streak. It all worked out to get to this moment, but it's Adam Cole, baby, and I just don't think there's any other way around that. So, Chris, what do you think?
I agree with you completely. I think Cole's going over. I think it's the way you frame the match and how you think it's going to look, where it's brutal and there are spots that people complain about because they think it's too much. I totally agree with you on that. I totally agree. I think it's going to be a rough match. Like you said, it's a fight without honor at Final Battle. It has to be the conclusion. It has to be the be-all, end-all, blow-off match of this year and this fight between Cole and Briscoe. And I think they're going to go. I think both the performers are going to go all out. They're going to tear the house down. It's going to be ugly, but at the same time, if you're a fan of great pro wrestling, it's going to be one of those matches that you're not going to forget anytime soon. I think like you said, with the Kingdom not being at the show, being in Japan, it does give Cole, the upper hand, the chance to show that he can get the upper hand even on guys like Briscoe without people interfering from the outside. Unless, of course, maybe he has something planned that we don't know, or ROH has something planned that we don't know, that maybe the Kingdom is going to add a member. Maybe Cole pulls somebody else in, and somebody else,
Sure.
surprisingly, helps him win the title again. You never know. But I definitely think that this is the right time, the right place to see the belt change hands. And as you said, Ari, it is Adam Cole, baby.
And according to CageMatch.net, Jay Lethal did win the 4-way against Samoa Joe, Christopher Downs, and BJ Whitmer. So
gotcha.
It is a little bit of a mini streak. But anyway, still, I think I agree with both of you. It's going to be a title change to end the show. The biggest match for the biggest time of the year for them. I think it's an exciting way to end a pay-per-view, especially, like it said, being the second one, and a lot of new eyes on the product. So, Ari, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, keep in mind that last year's surprise was Chris Hero coming in, fresh off of his WWE contract, and he had made an appearance earlier in the night at another promotion in Philadelphia, and he made his way over here. I would be interested to see if they do a similar booking scenario where somebody, as Miccio said, maybe somebody else comes in as a surprise, and in this case, not to knock out Adam Cole like it was last year, but to help him win the title. And I'm not saying that's Chris Hero. I'm saying maybe it's somebody else that either they debut or make his return, or someone turns and joins forces with him. It would be very interesting. Very interesting.
You're saying it's Alberto Del Rio. That's who you're saying it is.
Sure, why not? I'm going to say it's Alberto Del Rio.
Hey, recently let go from WWE, causing a lot of buzz.
Maybe it's Jeff Jarrett and he recruits Adam Cole for the Bullet Club. You never know.
Ooh, maybe. That would get the Ring of Honor fans heated up. That would be
that would cause a riot.
Oh man, that would be interesting.
Well, in my opinion, it'd be better than Team 3D showing up and challenging the Bullet Club. So, yeah, okay. Well then, that is our preview for Final Battle. I am expecting us to be covering it live. Both of you will be there live at the show, so you'll probably be tweeting photos or something, and hopefully we'll have you guys on the show very soon after to talk about it. I know Jerome and possibly myself or whoever is covering it live on the website wants to do a live show at MixLR right after it, so look forward to that. Also, listeners, should be a lot of fun. And yeah, guys, is there anything else?
No, I think we're good.
No, I think we're good, man. The only thing is that we as people from We Love Pro Wrestling, we got to plug the House of Glory show, December 19th. AJ Styles and Ricochet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. That should be really good. And of course, that takes place after Final Bell. So hey, if you're in New York, go to both shows.
Absolutely, get your ass out of the chair and go to a wrestling show.
Promote indie wrestling.
Go see AJ Styles and Ricochet, man. That's a combo.
And now that Ari and I figured out a quicker way to get to where the venue is, we're definitely going.
All right. See, and you get to see AJ Styles do the Styles Clash on Ricochet. That'll be.
I hope Ricochet doesn't tuck his chin the wrong way.
There you go. All right, let's get some plugs in. Miccio, you already talked about the We Love Pro Wrestling group on Facebook. What else do you have going on?
Not much. It's just getting ready to get married in about a month or so, or a little bit more than a month or so. So, life is kind of crazy right now. But if you want to follow my musings on reality, just look me up. It's on Twitter. It's at Chris_Miccio. And join the We Love Pro Wrestling group. We're always looking for more people with more opinions. As long as you're not a total moron, you can join and post, and we'll have a good time with you. And like I said, the House of Glory show. It's December 19th. It's a Friday night. One of our close friends works really closely with those guys, and we want to support our own, and we definitely want to support indie wrestling. So if you are in the New York City area, make sure you get off your ass that night. Get out to the House of Glory show. Ticket prices are relatively inexpensive. And if you want to have a really good time with some really good talent that's going to be on a card, do that. If you can get out to Final Battle 2014, you better do that, because it's going to be an epic show, like all Final Battles before it. So that's pretty much it for me.
And if you do, and you see Chris Miccio and Ari Berenstein, buy them a bear. Come on, be friendly. I'm sure they would do the same.
Buy me a bear?
A beer.
Oh, a beer. Okay, you can buy me a beer. Or
And just
bear,
just remember, Ari.
Or you could buy you a bear also. I mean, hey.
Gotta make sure that we remind everybody that we're in that VIP section. VIPs, that's us, Ari, right? VIPs.
Yeah, you live in the VIP style, yo.
Ari, what do you have going on?
Column of Honor's Twitter is at Ari Berenstein, or just type in Column of Honor in the Twitter search feed, and you'll find me there. Other than that, nothing much, man. That's pretty much all I got. And I'll be enjoying the shows. I will tweet. I'll try to tweet a few photos here and there, but I'm glad I'm not on live tweeting duty because that is a lot of effort. So everyone can sort of see it for themselves on pay-per-view, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. For myself, I do have that interview with Adam Cole. Should be coming out in Total Wrestling Magazine. I'm assuming Monday. That is, I was right in the middle of transcribing it right when we started recording. So I'll get it done. We'll get it out there. It was a lot of fun. Ari, I want to thank you for being on that with me.
Sure.
And of course, keep it here at PW Ponderings. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher, leave a 4 or 5-star review. There's a big sale going on right now. Still should be going on by the time you listen to this on iSpots. So use our link on the website. Use Amazon for all your Christmas shopping. Google Ads as well. And of course, thank you for listening. We'll